Out live at the Click to Houston Digital Center. Randy McIlvoy and Art Howe with you. Thanks for tuning in. Pre-game, in-game, and now post-game show. Bad news from Minute Maid Park, as you saw. Final score of a 4-1 tonight. Boston wins the ALCS, Art. They win the last 4 games after the Astros took that opener. How shocking is this to you that they'd come home and lose 3 in a row?
It's very shocking because, on paper, I felt the Astros had a better club, but paper doesn't win the ball games. You got to go out and play the games. And David Price tonight was the story of the game for me. I mean,
Right.
He went out there and threw 6 zeros on the board for the Boston Red Sox. Was as sharp as I've seen him in quite a while. Had his changeup working, his fastball spotting it in and out, and had a little two-seamer going and a cutter. So he was on top of it, kept everything down. And you have to tip your hat to him. He did a great job. And then the timely hitting, the two big home runs, a hanging breaking ball that J.D. Martinez hit out of the ballpark early in the game. And then later on in the 6th inning, Devers got a fastball up in the zone and went opposite field for a 3-run homer against Verlander. And that was all she wrote offensively for Boston. And the Astros could only get Gonzalez opposite field home run. And so, 4 runs for Boston, all via the home run, and 1 run for the Astros, a home run for Gonzalez. So the pitching was pretty strong tonight. Astros could only muster 5 hits.
Talk about Price a little bit more now. Let's talk about, his numbers in the postseason were horrible in his career, so you felt good coming into this, but this season he won a lot of baseball games, 0-3 against the Yankees, over in a 10 ERA. Rest of the league, he was 16-4 against with a 2.92 ERA, and that's what he showed tonight. He had the full arsenal working, kept the Astros off balance.
Yeah, when he's as sharp as he was tonight, it's going to be really difficult for any team to get any offense going against him. He had Astros chasing balls down out of the zone,
right?
But he just had them totally confused because of his changeup and really a great use of it. He had a lot of movement on it, sinking, going away from right-handed hitters, and then he was able to spot that fastball in on the inside corner. Didn't leave anything out over the plate when he threw that fastball in there. If he missed in. So that's exactly what you want a pitcher to do. When he's trying to come inside, you certainly don't want to leave it on middle in.
He was a confident pitcher tonight. You saw that from the get-go this inning. He was a different look, David Price.
Yeah, as far as he's concerned, you got to feel good for him because this is his first postseason win.
Right. And
he's been in it quite a few times, so I'm sure he's relieved with getting this one under his belt. But, they outplayed the Astros in this series, to be honest with you. Defensively, their outfield was unbelievable. The catches they made, I think their outfield probably won 2 or 3 of these ball games just by their defense. But the Astros just couldn't muster the offense tonight. Other games, they scored enough runs to win, but they didn't pitch well enough.
23 runs for Boston in games 3, 4, and 5, and we've talked about it often on View from the Dugout. This high-scoring team in baseball, they showed why. They were just pouring on the runs against a good Houston pitching staff, some consider the best in baseball.
Yeah, they really came to play, and offensively, it seemed like every time they needed a big hit, they got it, especially with 2 outs. This series, it's uncanny how many 2-out and 2-strike hits they got. It was off the charts. You never see that, especially in the postseason. But, they really stepped up to the plate and came through, gave their pitching staff runs to work with, and they made them stand up. Tonight, Boston really threw the ball well. Their bullpen came out. Evaldi came out of the bullpen who started
game 3.
Yeah.
Right here at Minute Maid. Kid from Alvin.
He comes in and gets 4 big outs for them after Barnes gave up the home run to Gonzalez. So that was a big-time bridge to get to Kimbrel, which surprised me. He came into the game, actually threw better tonight, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, and Tony Kemp sent the ball to the wall in left center field, but came up a little short.
All right, Astros lose 4-1. We know you're weighing in right now. Many of you are online watching us right now. We appreciate it. Your first post-game show following the loss from Minute Maid Park. If you have a question for Art, I'm going to try to keep up with this scroll here and do the best I can, and I'll fire away to Art. We'll be with you for the next several minutes. A lot of people on here obviously disappointed, not happy. A lot of them blaming the umpiring throughout the series and tonight. But end of the day, Art, I mean, there may have been some questionable calls, but if you can't hit in clutch situations, which the Astros didn't do much of last night or tonight, you got to be honest about it.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, this series, the better team won this series. I mean, the way they played. They outplayed the Astros. As I said, they got many more key hits, clutch hits. Their pitching staff did a solid job when they had to. They made quality pitches, kept the Astros from mounting any kind of real offense tonight. I think Price only had one runner get into scoring position off at second base, and he got out of that with no damage. So you didn't get many opportunities tonight. Maybe some of the other games you can look back on and say, man, we had our opportunities. But obviously the one pitch to J.D. Martinez early in the game, I'm sure that's where the fans are thinking that's strike three. He shouldn't even have been up anymore.
Pitch before that, yeah, it should have been.
But you got to execute the next pitch. And Verlander didn't do that. He hung the breaking ball, and good hitters don't miss those kind of pitches, and J.D. Martinez is a very good hitter.
Yes, he is. And then Devers had the big long ball. It was a 1-0 game in that sixth inning on our cut-in during the in-game cut-in after the sixth inning. Devers, the 21-year-old, he's got defensive issues that the young player, that'll something he focuses on, but the kid can hit, and he's shown that.
He certainly can, and he wasn't scared of the pressure of this kind of series or the previous series. He gets up there, he looks like he's playing in his backyard, nice and relaxed at the plate, and he takes a good solid swing. I like the fact he's got a real level swing for a left-handed hitter. Usually left-handers have a tendency to have an uppercut. He keeps it pretty level through the zone.
All right, if you have any questions, again, I'm trying to keep up. Many of you are on here. This thing's moving pretty fast here, but if you have a question, fire away. Any questions about now moving forward? Season's over. Your thoughts on maybe some issues the Astros are going to need to address. The catching came up a lot during the course of this series. Maldonado, usually good defensive catcher, had a couple of pass ball issues yesterday. Not a strong weapon at the plate. Is catcher position with him and Brian McCann, is his future still here in Houston? He's been around a while. Is that an area they need to shore up?
That's a good question. I was surprised that McCann didn't catch a little bit more in this series because offensively he is a much more of a threat than Maldonado. But on the other hand, the Astros are probably looking at the team speed that Boston brings to the party, and they tried to shut down that running game, which they did a pretty good job of that. Maldonado's got a cannon for an arm, great throwing arm, but he did have his issues defensively, which was surprising because defense is supposed to be his forte, but he boxed a few up in this series.
All right, again, 4-1 final. We'll have post-game reaction, of course, on our website as well, and much more coming up in the morning. Jose Altuve out there again tonight. He had a base knock. I mean, this guy was playing on one leg, as A.J. Hinch put it, shouldn't have been playing. So shout out to Jose, just the gamer that he is, to even be in this lineup today.
He's the heart and soul of this lineup.
Yeah.
I know Bregman had a tremendous year this year, but it's Jose. Once he came back from the injury, this team took off, and that's the reason, because he was back in the lineup. But I hope they can get that knee fixed over the winter. I'm sure they will, and he'll come back fresh and ready to go. But it's really difficult to go back-to-back in baseball.
They always say that. Why is that, do you think?
Because there's so many good teams in the postseason you got to go up against, and all you have to do is hit a little bit of a rut, go into a little bit of a funk offensively, or even the pitching staff. It gets contagious, both pitching and hitting. If you're not making quality pitches, it seems to pass from one pitcher to the next. On the other hand, offensively, when you start struggling swinging the bat, everybody tries to do too much then, and that's when you get in trouble. And in the postseason, in a close game, everybody's trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
All right, you have a question for Art. Fire away. We got one now from Adam Woodard. How would you rate this season, Art? Because you're coming off a World Series run when you have the title. Obviously, your goal is to get back there and win another one. You just mentioned it's hard to get there, but they do make it to the ALCS, although it was an ugly finish here in the ALCS.
I think it was an excellent season.
103 wins in the regular
103
season.
wins. They played great baseball majority of the year. And, maybe we're spoiled already. They won a World Series last year. You get to the American League Championship Series and you get beat. Hey, you've had a nice season. They disposed of Cleveland very easily. And I guess that's why everybody, including myself, felt that they were on a nice roll and they were going to go on to at least get to the World Series, but they came up short against a very good Boston team, a team that led the league in wins.
108.
So you have to say that maybe it's their year.
Let's talk about the managers and it's a tough situation when you're in the postseason. A lot of moving parts, a lot of tough decisions, strategic moves. Let's begin with Alex Cora and the job he has done with his Boston team his first year, and now taking this team to the World Series.
You have to give him a ton of credit. I mean, he's done a great job this year, and he's got a nice group of players under his belt. But to get him everybody to click, and he seems to have learned a lot being here last year in the postseason, going all the way to the World Series and winning it. On helping AJ last year, so he got a little feel for what it takes to get to that point, and obviously he's done a great job of managing. And for me, more than anything, it's managing your pitching staff. When you get into these kind of situations, and he mixed and matched very, very well. He brought some starters out of the bullpen later on.
Calm demeanor in the dugout always too.
Yeah, very calm.
Not an emotional guy.
Well, he got thrown out of one of the games earlier in the
he did.
in the series.
That was rare.
And maybe that woke his team up. Who knows? But
hey, speaking of Cora, Pam Carroll is asking, with Cora being our bench coach last year, any opinions if that gave the Sox an advantage as to what the Astros like to hit, what they couldn't hit? Talk about that factor, knowing he knew these Astros so well. Did that play a factor, you
I think so. I mentioned that before the game started, that he seemed to have a good feel for, number one, what our pitchers like to do as far as trying to get people out, what they tended to go to, and then offensively, he's watched the Astro hitters all last year, kind of had a clue of how to attack them, and maybe do a great job of getting them out, and it paid off. I mean, whatever he told his players, it worked.
Here's another question from Jeffrey Resnick. Hope I'm saying that right, Jeffrey. Does Charlie Morton retire this season, in your opinion, after the shoulder issues he's dealing with? 15-3 season, but he wasn't the same down the stretch. Do we attempt to keep Dallas Keuchel? Marlin should be the #1 signing. So let's begin with Charlie Morton, a guy that started yesterday, and I think he was out after 4 innings or so yesterday.
Yeah.
What based on what you see out of him, and is this something? He's 15-3 this year.
I'll tell you what, he's not going to retire. I mean, I think he just needs some rest over the winter, and he'll be fine. Even with having pitched in a while, he was touching 94 yesterday. During the regular season, he was 96 and maybe even 97 once in a while. But I think he'll bounce back. I mean, he's been an outstanding pitcher for the Astros. As far as Keuchel, just my opinion, I don't think the Astros will be bringing him back. I could be totally wrong.
I think they'll make maybe an offer, but he's going to get a better offer.
Yeah, I think he's going to be one of the better pitchers out there available. Cy Young pitcher, he knows how to get people out. But that's just my gut feel. I could be totally off base on that. And
we'll see how it all plays out.
And who was the third one we were talking about?
Oh, we're talking about signing Marwin Gonzalez.
Marwin, definitely. I mean, he's the best utility player in the league. And he can hit from both sides of the plate. Tonight gave us our only run with the opposite field home run, showing power from both sides of the plate this year. So, yeah, I think they'll be crazy not to re-sign him.
All right, there's a couple of questions from viewers right now asking your opinion on Alex Bregman and the lineup change. Yesterday and today, they moved him to lead off. I'm not sure what his last at-bat was. At one point, he was 0 for 7. He's 0 for 8.
Yeah.
Mistake? Do you think it's still worth taking that chance if you get something going top of the lineup?
Yeah, I thought the reasoning was very sound. To get him up there because they were pitching around him and not giving him anything to hit. And when they did, he hit the ball hard and got base hits. And they wanted him to start the game off, get on base, and set things up for the middle of the order. But, hey, when you lose a couple games in a row in this kind of situation, you have to try to do something to make some things happen. And AJ tried to mix and match a little bit with the lineup, move people around a little bit. Correa yesterday was on fire. Today,
not much.
3 punch-outs at the plate. So you just don't know.
A few more minutes with you here on the postgame show. Again, any more questions, we'll try to get those in before we call it a night. So how do you approach the offseason? Is this where the season's over? You know what your strengths and weaknesses are. You didn't reach the ultimate goal. You still had a great season, indeed, but now you've got to kind of rebound and find some other pieces, which they'll do, and kind of get motivated for a new year in spring.
I don't know if they need many pieces, to be honest with you. I mean, they're very, very solid. They're young still.
Get everybody healthy.
Yeah, that's the key. Get Altuve totally healthy, and you know, get them back in that lineup and get them going. And I like their chances next year. I mean, I'd be.
That'd be one of the favorites for sure.
Oh, definitely. I'd be shocked if they aren't back in this kind of situation next year with a shot to win everything.
All right, here's a couple of quick ones. And again, if you have an opinion, Art, weigh in. Pam Carroll asking, would or should the Astros consider obtaining Jake Arrieta, Yu Darvish, or Alex Cobb? Again, the season just ended 20 minutes ago. It's hard to really pinpoint that. It's a pretty good staff as we see right now.
And those kind of guys that, you know, Arrieta, it's going to cost an arm and a leg to get him. I mean,
and Yu Darvish
I think we've got a pretty good third baseman already.
Yes, I think we do too.
Yeah, so I think we're pretty solid in the infield. We're really solid.
A couple of questions too, actually, several actually regarding Roberto Osuna. I don't know I know they acquired him. I don't know what his contract situation is right now. Come back, still keep him as the closer? Do you think the potential, or?
Yeah, I think he'll be a big part of this team next year. This is his first. He just came over, helped them out. Had a rough game, one game that he didn't pitch well. I mean, tonight goes 3 innings, shutout baseball, kept him in the game, gave him a chance to possibly get back in it. But he's got good stuff, 4 quality pitches, so there's no reason at all to even think about him not being on this club.
Well, again, the final score at Minute Maid Park, 4-1. The Red Sox win the ALCS. They're celebrating probably as we speak inside of that visitors clubhouse. That champagne is flowing. You hate it that's happening at Minute Maid Park. Yeah. Everybody's pulling for the Astros to get that one win just to get things jump-started. And you and I were talking, you just get that one win. You go back to Boston where you've had success in Game 1. You feel like you can maybe give it a good shot in Game 6 and Game 7.
Especially with the 2 guys you know are going to the mound with Cole and Keuchel.
Right.
But it wasn't meant to be, and you know, I want to give a shout out to our fans. Our fans were outstanding tonight. They were on their feet all the way through the whole ball game, especially in the latter innings, trying to get the club over the hump.
3 tough nights, man, at Minute Maid Park, but they've been out there each night.
Yeah, the players certainly appreciate their support.
All right, we're going to wrap it up here on the post-game show, View from the Dugout. Art, it's been a lot of fun, man, during the ALDS.
Same here, Randy. I was hoping we were coming back this weekend.
I know. He was set for Game 6 on Saturday, and Larry Durker. So Art Howe, Larry Durker, Kevin Bass all done a great job during the ALDS and ALCS, and I think we got something going here. We got a lot of viewers that tune in and like that analysis, and it's been a big hit these first couple of weeks of it, man. Nice job. Appreciate it. You bet. The great Art Howe hanging out with us here on View from the Dugout. We hope you enjoyed it. Too bad the Astros got beat. Season is over. A very good season, though. 103 wins in the regular season. They make it to the ALCS, and things just didn't work out at Minute Maid Park, losing games 2, 3, 4, and 5. 4-1 series win for the Red Sox. They're moving on. They'll face either the Dodgers or the Brewers in the World Series. For the Astros, the offseason begins. For the entire crew, thanks for checking out View from the Dugout here on click2houston.com and Facebook Live. For Art Howe, I'm Randy McIlvoy. Have a great night.